Hello, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates. Have another video for you today. It's entitled 10 Ways That I Healed from Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome. So, I don't know if many of you have watched Michelle Rosenthal's materials on PTSD, healing from PTSD. She has a website called healmyptsd.com. And I like what Michelle said. She said that there is not just one way to heal from PTSD, complex PTSD. There's many ways. And everybody is different. Everybody has a different system, a different experience. In her case, she said that she's completely healed from any PTSD symptoms through ballroom dancing and hypnosis. I can't say that that's not true. It probably is true for her. So if anybody out there says this is the way, this is the only way, it's sort of like religion. There is no just one way. There's many ways, and I'm going to share with you the top 10 things that have been the most helpful for me. So, and these are sort of in order. These are the things that have been the most powerful healing agents for me. They may not be for you, and that's okay. And in the comment section, why don't you pipe in and we'll start a community discussion about what has worked for you. Let's find out what's working and let's share it. Now, I got to say, when I say that I've healed from narcissistic abuse syndrome, I'm not anywhere close to being completely healed. I don't know how healed I am. It feels like about 70%, but it could be 60%. But I've come a long way, and I'm so thankful. So here is my top 10 list of things that have helped me heal from this very brutal, very hurtful, very shattering experience. Number one is finding out about narcissistic abuse syndrome. You can't heal a disorder until you know what you have. If you have cancer and the doctor is treating you for diabetes, you're screwed. And I went to many therapists and a couple of different treatment centers, and nobody knew about narcissistic abuse syndrome. So I was struggling along about 6-7 weeks ago, and I came across the book Psychopath Free by Jackson McKenzie. And that is what helped me go from about 30% healed to about 70% healed. That was my experience for me. Excuse me. But you're probably not going to get those kind of results, but that's what helped me, because part of my most painful experience was the cognitive dissonance, and learning about narcissistic abuse syndrome cleared up the cognitive dissonance overnight. It was like, bang, I know what I got. So I highly recommend, if you're struggling with the after effects of a relationship where somebody really took advantage of you and they pretended to be one person and then they were another person and you were just destroyed and shattered, I recommend the book Psychopath Free by Jackson McKenzie. He also goes by the name Peace in their community. They don't use first names, so Peace or Jackson McKenzie. Number two is very closely aligned to number one for me. And the number two most healing thing for me has been YouTube videos. How friggin' awesome is that? They're free. I shared in my last video that I have this Chromecast thing. You can get them for 35 bucks just about anywhere. Hook them on your TV. It takes about 5 minutes. And you walk in the room and you can cast a YouTube video onto your big TV within seconds. So there are so many people, wonderful people out there putting out amazing material. I'm not going to get into all the names because there's too many of them. Plus, some people don't like certain people and they like other people, and then it gets into a big discussion over, well, this guy's no good, well, this guy's better. It's all good, in my opinion. Even if the person making the video might have some issues or might have some agendas, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they put out good information, it helps you, then, you know, amen. It's awesome. And I don't know about you guys, but what I do for fun is, or instead of watching TV or cable, I walk in and start on YouTube watching videos about narcissistic abuse syndrome. And it's helped me a lot. I know it's helped you guys. Closely related to YouTube videos is community. I've been involved in a lot of good communities in my lifetime, Christian communities as a young man, therapeutic communities, therapeutic groups, groups in my practice with my associates. But I have never been a part of a community that's so wonderful and so supportive as you fellow people who suffer from narcissistic abuse syndrome. I don't know why that is. I think it's because we hurt so bad. We hurt so bad, and we need support from people who understand. And you guys understand it. The only people who do understand are people who've been through it, people who have had these symptoms and these experiences. So I didn't mean to start a support group by making these videos, but I'll make a video, and like I think I made one a couple days ago, and it's got like 75 comments, and it's people talking back and forth, and I'm trying to stay up with them. It's hard to stay up with them, but I learn from you people. It's not like the person who makes the video is this big expert. Many of you know more about this subject than I do. And I've learned so much from the people giving the comments. And honestly, it's part of my recovery program is listening to the comments and learning and getting encouragement. So it's a beautiful thing to not be able to afford therapy and rely on YouTube videos and the community that goes with it. Now, I do need flesh and blood support, and I haven't been able to find narcissistic abuse syndrome folks here for the most part. But I go to divorce care in my church, and those people have been through some bad stuff, and many of them do suffer from complex PTSD, and many of them do suffer from narcissistic abuse syndrome. So close enough, and it's somebody to go dancing with on a Friday night, or have a New Year's Eve party with, or somebody to reach out to when you're hurting. For the longest while, I was barely functioning. And there were people, some of them who understood narcissistic abuse syndrome, some who didn't, but they checked on me every day, frankly, to make sure I wasn't going to off myself. And some of them would come in and sort of take care of me, because I had a hard time getting the laundry done, getting the groceries bought. I would be traumatized when I went to the grocery store. They would just help me to function. Now I'm able to function independently. I'm a big boy now. But find community wherever you can find community, but just make sure they're safe, because I would have people who would care for me and check on me, and then they'd shame me for believing that, you know, this person was as, you know, narcissistic and hurtful as it felt to me like she was. Excuse me. So find community. Also, there are forums in a lot of different places. There are Facebook groups. There's forum on psychopathfree.com. But find your people and make comments on these videos here, and you'll find your people. There are millions of people out there who have suffered from this. There is an avalanche of activity of people who have been abused in this way and who are becoming extremely knowledgeable. The problem is the therapists have not caught up with the need. If you are a therapist who goes through this, just put on your banner on your door sign, I help heal narcissistic abuse syndrome, and you'll be flooded with business, because there's a glaring need, which also is bad news, because what does it mean? It means there are millions of narcissists out there just psychologically raping people. That's the truth. It's scary. It's scary. The fourth thing that has really helped me, I will call it deep processing, and what I mean by that is doing the deep work. And in my case, I think on one video I said I'd cried millions and millions of tears. That's probably over-exaggerating. Easily hundreds of thousands of tears. Maybe 1 million. I don't know. A lot of tears. Cry. You know, every time you have a trigger come up, you weep from deep in your soul. And anybody who says crying doesn't heal, the way I look at it, it's sort of like an airplane has two wings. One wing is the crying work, the anger work even. The other wing is the insight. And my problem with my recovery, I was heavy on one wing. I was heavy on the crying. Cried for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, just weeping from the little boy, the infant deep in my soul. But I didn't have any insight. I didn't know what the hell happened to me. But you combine the two, and you'll fly. So keep on crying and keep on watching YouTube videos. And the truth will set you free, and you will cry through this and get to the other side. The other part of deep processing is anger. And a friend of mine suggested that I get a punching bag and start punching on it. I've done that, and it helps. Sometimes I'll be in my car and I'll scream. I'll just pass a trigger and I'll just go, ah! Sometimes I do that in a convertible. I get some strange looks. Haven't been pulled over yet. I'll tell you a funny story. Sort of pathetic story, but early on in my recovery, I was going back and forth between Grand Haven, Michigan, where my therapist Paul Hartman was, and where my recovery community of my friend Peg and her friend Frank, now my friend Frank, who I stayed at his house, and a spa where I would go every day for treatments all day long, and my other therapist, Shannon Grow. I would go back and forth, and one day I got pulled over for speeding. And I was so shell-shocked, I really wasn't safe to drive. And this officer pulled me over, and I was crying. And he said, sir, what's going on? And I told him, well, I have PTSD, and I'm here for trauma treatment. And he goes, who's here for trauma treatment? I said, me. And he was like, oh. He made it so that I only had to pay the court costs. There wasn't any cost for the ticket. But that's what complex PTSD will do to you. It'll make you an unsafe driver. And just getting back and forth, I would drive about an hour and a half. I'd be so exhausted. Okay, so do your deep process work. Number 5, this is just me. I have one of those Bluetooth headsets and I stick the little wires in my ear. Those things they work every time, and they're durable. They last 2 days without a charge, and you can hit little buttons, and they have good, you can talk on the phone. I think the brand is LG. But I would listen to book after book after book on this subject. When I was in the treatment center, I listened to a book by Raquel Lerner, and it was about narcissism, and it's called "The Object of My Obsession is My Reflection." Really bad title, I think, but she talked about covert narcissism. And when I was in the treatment center, not learning about narcissistic abuse, I would walk around and do my exercise while listening to that book. I must have listened to that book 10 times. And it gave me fire in my belly, and it gave me direction, because you're not going to get direction from professionals. Even really fantastic treatment centers haven't caught up with this quite yet. So, and the thing that really turned it around for me was listening to Psychopath Free on that stereo headset on my phone. I've probably listened to that 15 times because it's freeing. The number 6 thing that's worked for me has been therapeutic massage. When you have this much pain in your chest and in your belly, let me tell you, the thing that will help release it better than anything else is getting a therapeutic massage. And I went to a woman named Deb Ward in St. Joe, Michigan. Trying to remember the name of the spa. I should remember that. But I would go every single day, and I was so shell-shocked. And a lot of people say, well, what if you can't afford that? And it was expensive. If you can't afford that, then if YouTube videos are your form of therapy, then do that. Go to 12-step groups. Listen to books that are not that expensive. You can get a lot of treatment for a very low amount of money. But I was able to get these therapeutic massages for an hour and a half every day, and I would weep throughout the whole treatment. And she found ways of just really digging in deep in my belly, and it was so helpful. It was so healing. I feel like I'd get to the end of the hour, and she would notice this massive shift in me from being shattered and sad to being healed. She could feel me healing. So find a good therapeutic massage person and go as often as you can and cry on the table. Number 7 on the list is talk therapy. A lot of people think talk therapy doesn't work, but it's also a relationship. And I had a relationship with Paul Hartman, my therapist. He's now in the Ann Arbor area, nationally known therapist around sexual addiction and working with a spouse or significant other of sex addicts. And he didn't, I don't think, know about narcissistic abuse, but he was a safe container. He gave me hope. He gave me a hug as I came, gave me a hug as I left, and believed in me, and framed the problem that this is somebody who wasn't doing the work, regardless of the fact that she went into a treatment center. And frankly, I've been to probably 6 therapists, and even though none of them had their hands on this narcissistic abuse syndrome stuff, I got something from every therapist. Number 7 is EMDR therapy. I went to a therapist in St. Joe, Shannon Grow, and she had this iPad, and the little ball went back and forth, and she would talk with me about my childhood, and I would weep throughout it. And I think probably the most powerful therapy session I ever had was one of those EMDR sessions. I mean, in my life, and I've had you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of therapy sessions. So don't discount talk therapy. Just find somebody who knows this syndrome, and preferably somebody who's been through it. I'm not doing this to get a bunch of clients. I'm doing it because I care and because I want other people to get set free the way I was. But if you want to work with me via Skype, I can do that. I still have some openings in my schedule. I'm sort of expensive, but I have some interns who are trained in this who can work with you for a really low fee. So keep that in mind. Number 9 for me has been exercise. This is a very physiological syndrome. It's all about your body, and if you work out every day, you'll be better off if you can just work out as often as you can. Get massages as often as you can. Watch YouTube videos as often as you can. I was reading a comment today, and they said something to the effect of being fully dedicated to your recovery. Something like that. But that's true. If you're gonna heal from narcissistic abuse syndrome, you got to be in 110%. And it's hard because, you know, you have to work, you have to make a living, and sometimes it's hard because your schedule overwhelms you and you're exhausted. But make time to do the work. And most of us do that not because we're really dedicated in recovery. We do it because we have to do it to survive. You get that? So the number 10 thing that's helped me, and again, I don't mean to be controversial. Don't send me a bunch of comments about this, but for me it's prayer and faith. Man, there are no atheists in foxholes. And I cried out to God and said, please help me, please help me, please help me, please help me, please help me. And I got answers. So there are others on the list here that haven't made my list, but they're honorable mention. One is the material that's put out by Melanie Tanya Evans. She has these modules that you can buy that she walks you through that are very healing, and I highly recommend those. Medication I didn't mention, but there was a particularly low point where my psychiatrist shifted medication on me, and it made all the difference. I felt better from day one. Now, it made me gain weight, and it gave me arthritic symptoms, and I had to go off of it in 3 weeks after I gained 20 pounds, but I'll trade that off because it gave me a relief from the pain for 3 weeks. So if you can find something that works, take it. Take it. Don't be all, I don't want to take medication, it's not good. Bullshit. Take it. This is life or death. If it helps you, take it. And weigh it off with the side effects. You know, the side effects might be too much. Also, I want to mention 12-step work. 12-step work has helped so many people, and I went to some meetings during this time. The problem was I just couldn't find a meeting that fit me. The closest I could find that there was a lot of people was sex addict. I'm not a sex addict. And I'm a relationship addict, but it's really more about being addicted to borderlines and antisocial personality people like my mother. So I wish there was a 12-step meeting for people like us. Somebody start that, and I'll come for sure. So folks, I care about you, and I just have a lot of empathy. I'm sorry that you're going through this, and reach out to your fellow sufferers. Reach out to people who are suffering on this channel and other forums. If you'll look back at videos I've made, you can see that recovery from narcissistic abuse syndrome works, and because I am significantly better. I would make videos where I was just a crushed, shattered, hot mess, but I was sharing what I knew at the time. And now I'm thriving. I'm just starting to thrive. I can't wait to really thrive. And folks, let me tell you, you will get better. Again, I've said before, I hated it when people would say, Mark, you'll get through this. I promise you'll get better. And I just cussed them under my breath. But it's true. You will get better. And this is something that you will live to tell about it, and you'll thrive, and you'll have a better life. And I'm still on my journey. I think I've got 30-40% more healing to do, but I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I know what I have, and I have my people, and I'm starting to thrive, and I got a little skip in my step. So I hope this has been helpful. Put together your treatment plan. Put together 10 things that work for you and get busy doing them. And your list is going to be different than my list. If your list is ballroom dancing and hypnosis, go do it. Find what works and go do it. This is a battle of life and death. And we choose life and we choose to thrive. Thank you for watching today. If you haven't signed up for our YouTube channel, do that. Family Tree Counseling. I have 5 excellent books, one on abandonment issues that's really good, on the website familytreecounseling.com. I am available for Skype consultations. Have a wonderful recovery process, and God bless. Thanks for watching.